That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, on a winning Monday. It's a winning Monday, right? Everything's good. Everybody's feeling great. We're trending up. Everybody feels like this electric Notre Dame offense is just going to go light up that Syracuse dome till the roof caves in, right? Hey, at least we won. At least we won, but we have a lot to cover. We got a lot to get into. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Hope you had a good weekend. I get to watch Notre Dame says still feeling like we lost. We'll get into that feeling. Trust me, we'll get there. Welcome, everybody. And you know what else is good about this? We get to talk about Notre Dame, and then tonight I get the Bears on prime time, Monday Night Football. That ought to be pretty. Can't wait for that double whammy. That ought to be a good one. But welcome, everybody, here. We have a lot to discuss. This ball game's weird, folks. Are you impressed? Just happy we won whatever we scored in the 40s? Or do you look at it and say, Notre Dame, honestly, any team with a reasonable offense from earth should add 55-something points by the first half and 70-something overall, even if you're throttling it down. Like, you could be anywhere in that range. Just glad we won. We needed a win. 2, I was so frustrated watching this. I'm sorry, guys. Peacock not working and cutting out and buffering and jumping around. And I got the booth that's amateur hour in the booth. And then I got us with 11 or 12 possessions, and we're blocking kicks, and we're right on the goal line, all of this, and the offense just isn't good. It's just not good, and I'm reaching a critical mass point where I'm losing my freaking mind. There are flashes of good. There are individual plays of good. There might even be a drive or two that's good. Overall, it's just not good. And I'm struggling to watch it, and I'm watching it struggle against UNLV, and then I just know what's coming down the road. You got some tough ball games, and I had that in mind. And when you're watching Clemson, Syracuse leading into our game, it's on your mind, both of those teams. And our offense drives me nuts. It drives me absolutely insane. It just does. Just some of the inefficiencies and some of the easy things that just aren't done. Things like seeing a wide open guy and throwing to him. We don't do that. How about this? You guys, I'm struggling. And I took some heat for my post-game show yesterday. I took some heat. Oh, John, we won by a lot. It's still not enough for you, whatever. I have certain things I'm looking for, folks. I have certain things I'm looking for, especially running into the slate of games we have running into. Certain things I'm looking for. Inefficiencies like this weren't on the list. All right, calls. 361-336-818-631. I'm going to do roll call, my introduction, and I want to hear from the people. We're going to do a couple chats too. Some people donated, so I got to hit that, and then we'll do the calls, okay? So, YouTube, obviously, subscribe if you haven't yet. I'm sure most of you have. If you're in the chat sitting here watching, give it a thumbs up. Helps me more than you'd realize. Notifications on. That way you'll be alerted every time a new episode drops. Twitter, search bar, Always Irish Rat, Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only. Anywhere you want me, you can get me. Call in line 312-900-8815. Fighting Irish Wire. Tune in. I got a piece coming up on Reese. So USA Today Fighting Irish Wire. Stay tuned and check it out. I got a little something coming up for Tommy in the old newspaper. All right. Let's hit a couple of the super chats, roll call, and then get to the calls. Kent's always the first one in the morning. Whenever I set this up an hour ahead, there's Kent. The first one here is the Ohio State guy. Good day to be Irish. We woke up winners. You're talking about we, but I thought you were a fan of thee. So which is it, Ket? You're just messing with us, talking about we woke up winners. You're all about thee. Don't come in here playing games with my people. Notre Dame 21-64. I love how Kent's the first one here. Absolutely. Paul Conley, thanks for the $5. With the current QB situation, NDs stand slim to no chance to beat Syracuse. Syracuse 28, ND 17. That's what I expect. What you're finding, folks, is when you have a starting quarterback that is as physically limited as Drew Pine, when he has an off night, it's very obvious. That's what I think I figured out. I've learned with a guy like him, when it's going great, the plan's going great, everybody's playing well, you could look pretty competent against some decent teams like North Carolina, for instance, even though their defense is terrible. But a guy like that with his limitations, if he's not on, it's going to be a long day. Simple as that. That's what you're dealing with the guy with that skill set. Another $2 for Paul. Geez, Paul, you get paid this morning following ND for 40 years. Worst QB1 I've ever seen. It is important to keep in mind. I keep being reminded that he's the backup. And then I keep saying, fine. Why do you even offer a scholarship to a guy smaller than me to begin with, to be the starter or the backup? Unless he has Michael Vick's speed, I don't see the upside. So I got a problem with it. Where's the upside? If you're smaller than me, not fast, and don't have a big arm, why are you getting a quarterback scholarship in Notre Dame? It's just a basic question I'm asking. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I'm just not. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Patrick, we need to talk real OC options. Peacock and NBC announcers are as bad as the QB play. Can't stand it. You know my big argument. Without Tirico, there is no gravitas in the booth. It comes off as a small-time production, a second-tier production. There is no gravitas in the booth. When I say it's amateur hour in the booth, I literally mean it's amateur hour in the booth. And that's what NBC gave Notre Dame, and Notre Dame said okay to, I guess. Angela says, we went old school, listened to the radio outside on Saturday, didn't want to deal with Peacock. That's a good way to do it, Angela. My dad did it too, and you know, Angela, you know my dad, and you know the way my dad is. Old school. Only thing that could have been better is if it was Tony Roberts on the radio. Put it out on the patio and listen. Can't go wrong there. The offense is so uninspiring. How did we give up 21 to UNLV? They played, who was it? San Jose State and Air Force or something, where they're 2 games before us. And they scored 7 points against those teams. 7 points they scored with their starting quarterback and best receiver. They scored 7 points against Air Force and San Jose State or some state don't care about. And then we give up 21 when their best guys are out. I don't get it. I don't get it. But I'm so worried about the offense, I can't even worry about the defense all at the same time. Beatsville, $5 holler. Hope you guys are doing well. It's good to hear from you. Ben Emery, if you listen to my boy, leave a like. Don't be lazy bastards on a Monday morning. Yeah, I agree with that. I'm so offended. No technical issues with Peacock, but Collinsworth and Garrett are boring. It's true. It is boring. No doubt. Man, Paul, I appreciate you. Paul's my spokesperson here. Paul's my agent. John prepares great thoughts and insight and is a hard worker. Send in some super chats. I appreciate that. Thank you for the little bump there. Deborah Thomas, hard to see you here. Or good to see you here. I was reading your comment. Hard to wrap my mind around this offense. Defense inconsistent, giving up 21 points when their O wasn't at full strength. That's how I see it too. I'm just so mad about the offense. I think I'm not going as hard on the defense, but I do wonder how Air Force holds them to 7 at full strength, and then they're without a couple of their best players, and they get 21 on us at home. I cannot like that, but again, I have bigger complaints. V1 rotate V2. I'm glad you told me last week that was an aviation term, or I would have been thinking golf the whole time. All I have to say today, John, is playing like can beat teams like UNLV, but that ain't going to work against a respectable team. That's the problem. That's my thought process when I'm watching what was going on against UNLV. I'm looking at what's coming down the road. Stanford and UNLV were allegedly supposed to be the 2 weeks you could work this stuff out. Get Angeli meaningful playing time. Log a couple big wins and roll into Syracuse with just those couple losses. Didn't work out that way. I have no idea what to think about the Syracuse game. I could see it going so many different ways. You could argue that in a lot of ways, the Syracuse games, those are the type of games Notre Dame's played best in this year. Not your highest level elite game, not a team that you're supposed to kill, but that middle range, BYU, North Carolina, Syracuse. No doubt Syracuse is better than both of those teams, but they're kind of in that middle good, not elite group. Maybe Notre Dame will play good because of that. Thanks for the donation, V1. Oh, okay. We're going 361-336-818-219. Chris says, love the intensity with the podcast. It's the only way I know how to do it, man. There is no other way, Chris. It just comes out. I don't plan it that way. I never planned it this way. It's just what happens when I hit record. This is one of my points of the week. Thank you. Phil Hag, good to see you. Matthew, good to see you here. Mikey Poles, always here. Radke, good to see you. Hope you're holding down Nashville, my friend. Adam says, nice picture of the dome, by the way. John, Saturday did not feel like a football Saturday. It's unfortunate, but I think we're not used to this. But when you have as many losses as we do at this time of the year, it's hard to be engaged on everything going on. Think about what it's like every other year. We have no losses or one loss. You're in the playoff race. You watch your game, yeah. But then it's also fun if you won your game to sit back with a couple cold ones, crack them lids, and watch what everybody else does and hope games break your way, win-loss that helps us move up. You don't have any of that excitement. You just don't. And quite frankly, watching all these other teams have quarterbacks and players I've never heard of, but they run good offense, makes me mad. It makes me mad. You could say that's immature, grow up. I don't care. When I turn on all these other games and I see good offense being played, it is just a constant reminder how far away we are from having that and how frustrating it is, and all of the years of mismanagement that have got us in this position. It is so frustrating. It almost ruined my desire to watch other games. What else was I going to do? Tune in and watch Brian Kelly win a top 10 game and be happy for him? Like, I mean, come on, man. Like, no. So it's just ultra frustrating, you guys. It just is. I'm sorry. All right, let's get through. Look at some of these chats. Mikey, good to see you here. Drunk Vigo, good to see you, drunk. I'm concerned for you if you're drunk this early, but I'm glad you're here, even if you are. Bass and Domer, I don't have Peacock and refuse to subscribe. Sounds like I didn't miss much. You know what else, too, folks? A lot of people had no issues with Peacock. Like, I have the fastest Wi-Fi you could have to do the streaming because you can't have a lag, obviously, on this show doing live. So I pay Comcast for extra fast Wi-Fi. A lot of people said they had no issues. I had issues all day. And I paid for the fastest Wi-Fi you can for this stream. It was cutting out. It was buffering. It would freeze. Exit out of Peacock, and then it goes to the last TV channel you have, and you have to log back into Peacock. Scroll for Notre Dame. Like, it did not work for me. I'm open to it being fine for other people, but for me, it did not work, dude. Like, give me a break, man. I was already annoyed. Cheesy Pete's. Jonah, good to see you here. Oh, before the game, Freeman said they wanted to figure out ways to get Tobias involved. It shouldn't be that difficult. I don't understand it either. He's the biggest guy you got out there, and no one else makes plays. And Styles, the guy you want to be your number one guy, drops the ball a lot. It's just, dude, it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Oh, Robert Pacheco on Xfinity, the Peacock app closed on me once, but other than that, it was okay. I had problems the whole day. It's just the way things go for me. Nothing's easy. I can't even just put it on Channel 5 and yell like I did in the 90s. Just put it on. It's like, Rudy, what are we watching? Channel 7. What are we watching? Put it on NBC and we can all just be mad. And the other thing is, you can also, if you're in Peacock on your TV, you can't just switch to another game on the TV timeout and then switch back. You got to log out, backtrack out. By the time you find the game you want to see what's going on, you got to log back in for the Notre Dame game. It's a failed experiment. I just don't make it an option. Do not require it. I am not a hostage to NBC. Get real. Get real. I am not NBC's hostage. Make it optional. If you're one of these fancy whippersnapper youngsters and you want to be at the skate park and stream the game, go for it. Let me put it on Channel 5 and be mad. Just like the good Lord intended Notre Dame to be. Kent, you got that trash Chicago internet. I don't know what it is, man. You would think a big city like this would have it all figured out. So many people. Michael, I got you coming up, man. I got you coming up. Yeah, I got you. You're coming up. He's got a Peacock story, so I got him. All right. I'm caught up with the chats. I don't think I missed anybody who donated. But if you did, let me know and I'll hit yours. But I wanted to make sure I covered all those. Angela, Grandpa Rudiger would be pissed about Peacock. Yeah, no kidding, Grandpa Rudiger would be. He's used to sitting in the chair, turning the channel, and being mad about Notre Dame. Just the way it's supposed to be. Okay? So, ND wants more games on Peacock, though. If you want nobody to watch your games, that would be a really good idea. Like, come on, man. Yeah, John, the world figure skating champion's around from 3 to 6. Whatever, man. NBC's got their priorities, and the NFL is it. Notre Dame is not. I am over that contract. Find somebody else. I don't care what it takes. We're a second-rate product to them. You could argue that's what we deserve at the moment, but overall, we don't. Like, in the moment, you can argue second-rate product on the field, second-rate booth. But overall, it offends my senses that Notre Dame's second tier to NBC. I'm over it. And I see people talking about Estime. Dog, it hurts me, man. It hurts me. I'm telling you, it hurts me a lot. I want that guy to be a dude. I want him to be a dog. I want him to be physical. I can't get him to hold on the damn ball. I can't get him to hold on the ball. And if you can't hold on to the ball, I can't blame them for not giving you the ball. Like, as much as I love the damage he causes, if you're not able to hold on to the ball, I can't trust you. All right, phone lines, 361-336-818-219. Let's get to it. 361, let's have a little fun. What's up on a Monday?
Oh, what's up, John?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. I'm halfway to Mexico from Corpus Christi in my car right now, so I guess that's good.
What are you fleeing the country because of Notre Dame football or what? What are you doing? Leaving the country? Getting out of here?
Outside sales, man. That's what it does to you.
Do they got Peacock in Mexico? Dial it up.
It's got to be better. So I'll start with the Peacock story.
Yeah, tell me. What was up with it?
Some of you know me. My kids are very active, my boys. I had football, youth football, 2 games. We had baseball. The long and short of it, I didn't get to sit down to start watching Notre Dame game until it was 2 hours in, which if it was on NBC or any other network for that matter, I record it, I come back home, I go to my library, I press play, and I start watching the game. Unless it's on Peacock, which apparently, as I learned, only has a 2-hour backup feature if it's a live event. You can't record it.
Oh, that's terrible. That's terrible because 2 hours doesn't help somebody who records a 4-hour football game.
Correct. So when I started watching the game, it was already 10-7. And then I had this fun thing. I'm yelling at the TV. Game hasn't even started as far as I'm concerned because I haven't started watching it yet. But I'm yelling because I can't go back more than 2 hours. My wife comes in, tells my, what's Daddy yelling about? He's yelling at the Peacock or something. The game hasn't started and I'm screaming at the television already.
I don't need that kind of stress. Notre Dame is already hard enough on all of our lives. Like, I don't need this stress. Can I just put on the channel and be mad? I don't need these extra stresses. It's already going to be a long day. Seriously.
Yeah, I couldn't back it up anymore. So I watched from 10 to 7 with 9 minutes to go, which is right after UNLV scored their first touchdown. And then after the game was over, I went back and watched the first 6 minutes, which was the weirdest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah, well, but the weird part is the part that 6 minutes early in the game, we actually did pretty well. It looked like you wanted it to look. Go right down and score. You should have just watched that.
Yeah, right. And I didn't have the lag issues or anything like that once I was in the game. But yeah, the first touchdown, open field tackling. We can do some drills on that, can't we? Because that was not awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But defensively, overall, I mean, I know it's 21 points against UNLV. I get that. But at the end of the day, for the entire season, the defense has been doing their part. You wonder if there's an element in subconsciously where the defense, Al Golden, everybody is just going, God, we can't get anything out of the offense. They're getting frustrated and making mistakes for the frustration of the offense. You know, does that make sense? It's like, please into their decision making.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. I just can't, with this defense, I just don't have it in me to get on them so hard when the offensive problems are so much more glaring to me. I wonder, even whatever complaints we have with the defense, how much better would it look if we had a really good offense to balance it out and they're not out there as much and they could charge up more and play with some leads and pin their ears back. Like, it's all just tough. It's all annoying.
Yeah, because if you just you didn't watch any of Notre Dame's games, went into the statistics defensively, looked through 7 games, you'd be very happy with their statistics and saying, oh, our defense is playing pretty solid. But then you look at the game flow and everything else, you're like, okay, there's some issues. But yeah, you're right. Our offense is the problem. Drew Pine, when he missed Chris Tyree, I fully expected to see a replay of him having to throw it over a lineman. But no, he could see Chris Tyree's feet, and he still missed him. It wasn't like he couldn't even see Chris Tyree. He was just hoping he found him. He could have thrown a dart. He didn't have to lob it. It just, you said it on your instant reaction. Touch throws or not touch throws. Yeah. Bullets aren't bullets.
Yep.
He doesn't understand which throw to make and what time.
But now, not understanding which to make is one part of it. Being able to deliver the one your brain tells you to make is the second part, right? But what I think you're seeing is the limitations of a guy that has the skill set of Drew Pine. And I don't blame Drew Pine for that. He's put in this situation. This is just what happens when you have a guy with his skill set and he's not totally on fire. This is what it looks like. Like, I'm just accepting this is what it looks like. He's going to miss some of those. Lindsey's been open. Half the routes Lindsey runs this year, he's wide open, and Pine hasn't seen them. I know we all want more production out of Lindsey, but he's so ingrained to find Mayer, I think, that he doesn't even look for other guys. He's limited, and you're seeing that limitation, and it's just annoying. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, you're right.
We should have had 50 points by halftime. 50. 5-0. We got all those extra possessions. A real offense has 55 points by halftime. It's driving me crazy.
100%. Field goals. Our red zone offense it's not creative. It's not imaginative. It's almost an acceptance of we can't do anything but this and just play for the field goal. If we get a touchdown, cool. It's just a weird dynamic.
Yeah.
And even in the second half, were we not playing And I didn't understand that at all. I'm like, this is UNLV. Can we try to instill some confidence in our team? And we're playing so safe and so just restricted. And I understand Pine has limitations. I get that. But maybe that's an opportunity to bet. I hate to say this, but put Mayer on the bench. Force Drew Pine to love somebody else. I think Drew Pine loves Michael Mayer more than I love my wife at this point.
Well, you know what it is? You know what I think it is? I just think it's obvious they don't trust Pine a lot with all the reads, looks to the sideline. Like they have a very tight rope on what Pine's able to do. I just think it's a matter of they don't trust him that much. And it's so ingrained in his brain, Mayer. He ends up not just becoming the check down, but he becomes the main thing all the time because it's 1 second to look to the outside, doesn't even give guys a time to get open. And then it's zone wherever Mayer is, and that's when the ball's going. Like, again, no. That's what happens when you have a quarterback that has certain limitations of what he could be. I'm sorry. It's just what I see. He's limited, and this is what you're going to get.
And the biggest problem I have with Pine is he has so much time. The offensive line is more than doing their part. And it's almost like Pine is just waiting for Mayer to get open. Meanwhile, there's 3 other guys in the route. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, do something. And I know he's limited. I get it. But we've got Syracuse. We've got Clemson. We were going to beat UNLV, whether it was by 23 or 3. It was pretty obvious we were going to beat them. Wouldn't that be an opportunity to treat it a little bit like a trial and error? Let's try it. Because Syracuse can play some pretty decent defense. Clemson can play great defense. If you're going to target Mayer, we're screwed.
Yeah, well, and that's a part of that's a part of why I'm frustrated. And you look at how many points we put up, and a lot of people will be like, John, that's improvement. How can you be mad? It's better than Stanford week, all that. I get that. But when I was watching the ND UNLV game, it was with a keen eye towards the next 2 weeks. And I looked at it as you blew your chance with Stanford to work on things and put the offense at a better place overall. I really wanted to see them do that. And we did score a lot. But against that team, it wasn't enough to make me feel like the offense was efficient. Like there was just so many opportunities to score or make big plays we didn't make. And those are all going to burn you the rest of the way here. You have Syracuse, Clemson, Navy, everybody rolls their eyes at. If you go 3 and out 3 times in the first half against Navy, you might end up in a ball game. Like you literally can't afford to have a crappy, a false start penalty and go 3 and out against Navy the way we play offense and give them the ball back. And then you got USC. I don't even want to think about them yet. You got to find a way to get through some of the rest of this season, but it's driving me nuts.
Just got to do something, because I can already tell you what Syracuse is going to do. Clemson ran for 293 yards against Syracuse. Do you think Notre Dame can do that? Yes, I think they can. Here's the problem. Clemson has a quarterback that actually provide a threat of some kind. We don't. They're going to stack the box and force Drew Pine to beat you, and we have to design routes that allow Drew Pine to be safe, unfortunately. But if you're going to beat Syracuse and Clemson, you've got to play to his strengths or lack thereof. If you're going to just try to run, it ain't going to work. I promise you that.
Yeah, it's man, I got people in the chat telling me Notre Dame just won their last game of the year. Like it can't be that. But if we're frustrated in a big win against UNLV, what's going to happen if we drop the next 2 games? Like if people are frustrated in a 23-point win, what is that going to look like if it doesn't go well the next half a month? What's going to happen here?
Well, I don't know, but it was good to see them make an effort to get the ball in Lindsey's hands because he showed where he's still valuable. Well, if you can't hit him when he's wide open running routes, let's get the ball in his hands. He's got value to this offense. And it goes back to the lack of Chris Tyree's usage and then the inappropriate
Yeah. Yep. It's just, you just feel like something's, when you watch our offense, sometimes it just feels like the wire isn't plugged in all the way. Like it just feels like there's a faulty connection. Like I can't get everything to just click, and it piles up on you one week after the next to the point where it's enough to drive you crazy. But I am to the point mentally where I do not blame Drew Pine for Drew Pine's issues, because that's what happens when you give Drew Pine a scholarship to be quarterback in Notre Dame. It just shows that doesn't work. It isn't going to be good enough. He is not big enough and strong enough to make everything you need to do to make it work right. That is a bigger picture issue complaint I have. So I don't really even blame him. Like the balls get tipped down. Yeah, that's what happens when I'm playing quarterback. I'm small. I shouldn't be the quarterback unless I'm faster than hell, which I am not, and neither is Drew. So what were you happy with the result of the game, or feeling like a little empty calories? Because that's how I felt.
Yeah, it's the same thing every week. It feels like in terms of this. Tommy Rees continues to show us that he can adjust. He gets Mitchell Evans on the tight end quarterback sneak, whatever the hell you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, you're innovative. You obviously know how to adapt. Why don't you do it across the board instead of these little bits and pieces week by week? So, yes, I come away feeling, okay, we won by 23. That's great. We should have won by 43.
Yep.
But what are you doing for? And the worst part of it is, and I'll leave you with this. I left the game going, okay, well, clearly we're not going to do anything grand. That was kind of decided, but that really cemented it for me the way we played. We have to play spoiler. That's sad, but that's our role for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Ruin Syracuse's season, ruin Clemson season, ruin USC season.
Man, you're right. You're right on it. And I actually, that's in my notes for one of the shows I'm going to record to put out this week. That is a bullet point in my notes. Looking at where we're at, that is what's left for you. Pride, number one, pride that you play for Notre Dame, and it should be important to you that it always looks good. But then you're right, man. You could ruin some seasons, and in doing so, gain back a little bit of faith from us. You know, you knock off Clemson at home, people aren't going to feel quite as crappy about Stanford. You know, like you could still do that and make us feel better, but what are the odds of doing that? That's where it comes down to. What are the odds of that happening?
And I think this is going to be it's been 7 games, but it's got to be a test for Tommy Rees to understand that Syracuse and Clemson are not UNLV. They're not Stanford. They're not Cal. Like, you got to be innovative. You got to understand what your strengths and what your weaknesses are and play to them. Not just slam your head into a wall however many 80 times a game and go, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
So, thanks, John.
All right, man. Well, have a good week down there. Be safe, and everybody check out the 5 Foot Nothing pod. Go look for it, folks, anywhere you get your audio recordings. Thanks for the call, bud.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good one. Have a good day. Driving around there selling drugs. That's a hard day's work for my man there along the Texas border. What do we got here? The reporters' questions at the press conference are terrible. You know, I quit watching all of Kelly's because you knew what you were going to get out of him, and it's unwatchable. So I quit watching his, and then I tried watching some of Marcus's. Sometimes I watch them all. Sometimes I can't. It's just when I'm not in the mood and when I'm in a bad mood, the last thing I want to hear is them get up there and start sugarcoating it and progress and this and that. I just can't. Even if it's Freeman, who I love, I can't. I just can't do it. Oh, man. What else is in the chat? We ain't ruining Clemson's season. Their backup QB is going to have his breakout game against us. Their time of possession will be triple ours on offense. Yeah, I'm not saying that isn't likely. I don't want it to happen. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to be very upset if that's how it goes. Trust me, I'm preparing for it. All right, 336, you're in the mix. What's going on? Happy Monday.
Hey, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit of a brag before. I mentioned last week how I thought the skill position players, especially the receivers, were worse than we realized, and I specifically said that Lorenzo Styles is a corner. He's not a receiver. And first thing he does is drop like an easy pass, and I'm like, that's it, that right there.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating, man. He has some drops hitting him in the helmet. I mean, right at you. And it's like, dude, the wide receiver room is already a challenge enough. Our best guys have to be able to catch the balls thrown right to them. Like, give me a break, man. Give me a freaking break.
There is a reason Ohio State was right. I have to say it. There is a reason Ohio State was recruiting him as a corner, and it's not just the fact that they got, 5 receivers in their class that were better than him. It's the fact that he's not a receiver.
Yeah, man, it's just problem on problem on problem over there, like in that room. I just, like, that was supposed to be your one, man. That was the guy this year we were really wanting to emerge and prove to be the alpha in that room, that number one guy, a reliable target other than Mayer. We just haven't seen it. But I don't know if it's all him or if it's some of it's the quarterback and the whole offense overall pulling his production down. But when he does get chances, you can't drop him, man, especially when they hit you in the damn face.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's some where I'm like, well, that's just a bad go by Pine, and Styles had no chance at it. But when it hits him right in the hand, like, what do you want him to do? Hand it to you? Like,
yeah, it's really tough. So, but were you pleased with the point output overall, or were you like me saying, dude, we should have had 50 at half? Like, I'm frustrated we're not piling it up against a bad defense. Like, or were you just looking for a win, and the bigger the win, the better, and that's progress on its own? Like, how were you looking at this?
I mean, there's always a level of frustration watching this offense just butter around and not be terrible in the red zone all the time.
Yep.
Like, there's always a level of frustration. As I said, the goal right now is just to get to 6 and 6. And if you can you had to beat UNLV to get there, in my opinion. Now, I mean, the best team we played this year so far, aside from Ohio State, is North Carolina, and Notre Dame won that game. So it's like, I don't understand how the team can show up against a solid, a solid team like North Carolina. They don't have a defense, but
then no show against Stanford. Makes no sense.
And then you go up against Stanford like we're not even going to put any effort in. We're just going to expect to win the game. I don't understand the highs and lows here.
Yeah, well, that's why this is that's why every week we're all like nervous to turn on the game, because you just don't know if you're going to like what you're going to see or not. And when there's not linear, when you're not just really good, and then you're really good for the year, like Ohio State or something. But when you're us and you can't rely on anything, there's no like, oh, the team's getting a little better each week. And I kind of know the baseline we're starting at. And then we hope we see these improvements. No, like that's all out after Stanford. You're starting every week saying this could be good, bad, in the middle. We don't know. And I hate being there. It is the most uncomfortable place to be, especially when you're somebody who follows the team for media. You just don't know what to think or where to start.
They kind of talked about that on the broadcast with the Jim Kressel thing, which, yeah, I mean, bring Jim Kressel around. He's a knowledgeable coach. He's national champion, all that.
Yeah.
I mean, but, like, him talking about the progression of, like, that's not always just, like, a straight arrow up. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. And that's messaging for the team. I don't know if that's messaging the fan base here.
Yeah.
But, like, I mean, we all see it happening. Obviously, we all know it's not, like, going exactly smoothly to start off. Like, there have been a couple more bumps in the road than we would like. But like, I think that's more important for the people in the room to be like, okay, it might not be the best. It might not be, Brian Kelly leaves, Marcus Freeman comes in, and we're just gonna keep pumping it right along. But I don't know if the fan base needs to be told that part of the communication behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But they put that Notre Dame is purposeful with what information they let into the broadcast.
Yeah, well, of course they are. Of course they are, and that's why you can't take what they say seriously half the time. It's whatever. I do not like the booth. It's a small time production.
I don't like. I like. So I think Garrett is okay in spurts. Like there's certain moments where I'm like, that's actually good.
Yeah,
but he's playing off, a high school radio broadcaster basically. Like, Collinsworth is not. He's not as bad.
Yeah, there's no gravitas. Yeah, it's amateur hour. He's got the little voice thing his dad has, but it isn't matured yet. It's amateur hour. So I don't know what. Let me ask this. What's your confidence level going into Syracuse? If you had to put a percentage on it, if I told you, what are the odds we go into that dome and win the game? What would you give that percentage right now on this Monday?
I would say probably, I'm going to be higher than most people, I think. I would say it's probably like 40%, simply because Notre Dame is showing up at weird times, and this is one of those games where Notre Dame's going to be more talented than Stanford. Like, the talent on the field is better. And this is one of those games that it could be like North Carolina, where they show up and they're like, hey, we're going to be good this week. And I'm like, what happened?
Yeah. I just don't know what to expect. Now, I will say this. I mentioned this earlier. One thing that gives me a little hope is Notre Dame's played their best this year in games like this. Kind of on the road against a medium high opponent. BYU at the time, they've dumped out since then. North Carolina. We've actually played our better games in these kind of environments. Maybe that kicks in again. We're away from home. They don't have people like me sitting there mad at them, judging them at home. Like, maybe that's freeing for them, and they go into the dome and they go ahead and stick it to them. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually think that's.
I asked you for a percentage. I got 0% in the chat, 2%, 3%, 10%, a little over 20. There's people are all over the board, and some are being negative just for effect.
I think that it would not surprise me because Notre Dame has showed up like this before this year, not like in years past,
right?
This year, where it's like, the North Carolina game was a perfect example. Like, you played really bad against Marshall and lost the game. You played pretty bad most of the game against Cal and kind of squeaked out a win. And then it's like, you're going on the road and were they undefeated? Was North Carolina undefeated at the time, or were they? Yeah, they only lost to us. And you're looking at it, you're like, how are you going to beat this if you couldn't beat Cal, if you put up so much with Cal, and then Notre Dame beat them handily? I'm like, what was that? Where did that come from?
Man, it's really wild. And so here's my big picture thing. 2 paths. One is you got to get through the end of this year in one piece. Whatever that looks like, whatever that means, to retain a decent recruiting and just get the hell through this year in one piece, not dead. That is the short-term priority the rest of the year. Long-term, I need you to get whatever happens in California 2 minutes after the USC game's over. I need a complete analyzation breakdown of every aspect of this program. Coaching, I need an evaluation of everything because some stuff here isn't working. So the minute that USC result is done, good or bad, I need that process to get going. That's where I'm at. Short picture, long picture. Does that make sense?
especially on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep. I just need you to look at everything because some stuff isn't working and it isn't developing, and it's more than just execution of a play. I need it all looked at hard.
As I said last week with the Stanford game, people will sit there and talk about. For some reason, I've seen people talking about the defense. And I'm like, the defense lost 16 points, and the offense couldn't win the game.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Like, we're talking about minor flaws on one side and major flaws on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm much more concerned about fixing that other side that's causing problems. And truthfully, this game in UNLV, without those 2 consecutive punt blocks, I mean, the offense was gifted field position inside the 15-yard line.
Yep.
Twice in a row.
Yep. That's why I was saying you should add 50 points by halftime. You were gifted extra possessions, kicking field goals instead of scoring 7. Like, the reason I was frustrated wasn't, oh my God, are we going to beat UNLV? It was, this isn't the amount of progress I needed to feel good about what's coming our way on the second half of the schedule. If that makes sense. Maybe that's an unfair bar, and you could tell me we're not good enough to deserve a bar other than did we win the game right in front of us? If you told me that, I might have to say that's fair.
I think against a lot of teams, that might be a fair assessment. Be like, we're not good enough to have, why can't you win this way? Instead, we're not good enough to do that against a lot of teams. There's no reason we shouldn't be good enough against UNLV to be able to say those sorts of things.
Right.
And another thing that annoyed me, this is me personally, is talked last week about not being the guy and wanting to see Kelly. So Pine gets hurt, gets knocked out of the game for, that one play where they put a touchdown, and then the next drive, I think Kelly was done. And Kelly comes in and they're just like, hand the ball, and it's like, great, so you bring it, the backup has to come in. You now see that there might be a situation where there's an emergency. He's a snap away, but you don't let him do anything.
Yeah, I saw that too. And that was another one of my complaints about Stanford. That was supposed to be a ball game where you could get Jelly in, and then he did get in, and then again they just didn't let him do much. It's frustrating, man. But what are your? Yeah, go ahead.
It reminded me a bit of the years of Brian Kelly, where we get a big lead on somebody, and they pull in book and put in, they put in Pine or they put in Jurkovic or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they would spend 3 drives just handing the ball up, and I'm like, that does not develop a quarterback.
Yeah.
I understand you're blowing the other team out and you don't want to run the score up, but at some point you need to be able to tell the opposing team, like, we need to work on our players on our team now. We need to do that now, and we can't care about your feelings. And it felt very much like that. You have Angel in the game, and it's like, all right, let's just hit the ball 20 times and then punch.
Yep. It's just that's not developing him that much. He's in there, but is he really in there? I know it's
when Angel has to play, like, if Pine gets hurt again and it's for 3 quarters instead of for a drive, and Kelly at that point is going to have to throw the ball, and you have not set up a situation where he is comfortable doing that yet.
Yep. It's problem on problem on problem is what it is. So, but what are your thoughts this week heading to Syracuse? Like, where's your mind at? Is it confident? Is it wait and see? Is it where are you at to start this week mentally?
I mean, I'm very much kind of. I'm probably more confident than a lot of the fan base. As I said, I give them a 40% chance to win. That's higher than most people will say. But I do think it's wait and see for me.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fair. I think that's the fairest way to protect your emotions.
We're not. I mean, I know Notre Dame for some reason is listed as the favorite. I don't think most people feel like Notre Dame should be the favorite coming into this game.
Yeah, I was a little surprised they opened up as favorites in Vegas too. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting.
There's one other thing that I think is interesting about playing Syracuse this week. They just played Clemson last week, and they played them close, hard-fought, emotional games. They were up big for a while there, and then Clemson throwing back and wins.
Can you catch them the week after? Is that where you're headed?
What's that?
Can you catch them the week after that heavy emotional and physical load? Is that kind of where you're going?
Well, partially, but is there a letdown? Do they have it in them to come back the next week and show a high level of emotion in a game against Notre Dame? If they don't, Notre Dame could actually be the team that sneaks in and steals one while they're kind of still napping.
Yep, that's a good point. And that's usually something we always talk about with Notre Dame, that big emotional layoff after a big game. You saw it with Ohio State and Marshall. Maybe that was a part of it anyways. I don't know, but good thoughts, my friend. Good thoughts on a Monday. I appreciate the call.
All right. Well, good luck with your show today.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Give me a call again, my friend.
All right.
Take care. Oh, boy. Kent says, Kelly inherited a losing team. Marcus inherited a winning team. Somebody make it make sense. This is where I really get stuck with this discussion. It gets really, really tough because what he's saying is true. Marcus inherited a winning team. Somebody make it make sense. At the same time, if you knew Notre Dame, you knew whether it was Kelly or Mike Ditka or Saban, anybody else. You knew regardless of the coach, quarterback was going to be a problem. Quarterback was going to be a problem this year no matter what. Wide receivers were going to be a big problem this year no matter what. So I am not saying Freeman's doing a perfect job. All of our problems are Kelly. I am not saying that. But even if Kelly was here, quarterback was still going to be a problem this year, and wide receiver was too. Would Kelly have found a way to squeak by Marshall and Stanford? Yeah, he probably would, because that Kelly had the field to be able to kind of do that at the end of his Notre Dame tenure, especially at home. So, yeah, Notre Dame and Freeman inherited a team with all these wins, but look at what he had inherited coming back at the most important. Quarterback was going to be a problem for Kelly too this year. It was just going to be a problem for everybody. I'm sorry. It was. So it's fair and unfair to say Marcus inherited a winning team. Make that make sense. He did. You don't think Kelly knew the problems he created he didn't want to deal with? Kelly's dumb with a lot of stuff. Kelly's not dumb when it comes to protecting Kelly's name. Kelly knew damn well what was coming down the road, and that had him extra excited to look for a different job. He created the mess and didn't want to have to clean it up. Kelly knew what he had coming down the line. Come on. 818, make it great. Hello.
Yeah.
What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, John? Yeah, man, watching this game, man, it was kind of like, I thought to myself, and it was after listening to your post-game show, too, I thought to myself, had Notre Dame beat Stanford, just one, not one flashy, but just one, man, we'd be feeling a lot better about UNLV's game. There's just no doubt in my mind that is really kind of now it's almost like we have to overcompensate with the fan base by winning by 40 points today, which that's the thing, that's the position we're in right now. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if we beat Syracuse and then everybody's gonna be nervous about Clemson, but if somehow we beat Clemson, Syracuse, once again, as I've said before, no one's going to really care about how the games turned out against Stanford and Marshall still. But I will say this, man, 10 wins are still on the table. Until we get that next loss, 10 wins are still on the table. So there is a glimmer of a goal still available to us this year. I just want to remind everybody of that. not to mention a recruiting class, not to mention momentum, not to mention.
I mean, mathematically,
mathematically,
what you're saying to me is true. But practically, what are the odds it happens as inconsistent as we are most of the time? That's where I get hung up.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and also, too, man, John, I didn't see any of the Syracuse Clemson games. I don't know I know obviously Syracuse is a good team. They hung in there and by the score of it, at least anyway. And that's the only loss on the season. I mean, I will say this, though, man. I'd rather see us playing Syracuse there than playing them here at home. I'd rather play in the Carrier Dome at this point.
It feels weird, man. But if you look at when we've actually played our best, it's against a middle upper tier team away. So maybe that's our wheelhouse this year. Get the hell out of South Bend and that awkward vibe of knowing everybody's looking at you through this microscope of it isn't good enough. We're not happy. What's going on here? Like, it's just awkward vibes in South Bend. It just is. And I don't know. You could go into that dome and win and everybody will feel way better. And then it'd build you a little ramp to make Clemson a bigger deal.
Well, that's the thing, man. If we lose, I don't know why, but I don't know why I'm feeling this way, but I actually think there's a better than 50% chance we beat Syracuse. I actually am expecting a win. I mean that. For those reasons, just because of how we played on the road. If you just take the evidence that we've seen so far, the 2 games down the road against pretty damn good teams, we played well. So I'm counting on that, man. That's what I'm going for. I'm like, it seems like this team needs something to get them excited. And also I just got to also mention, just going back to the UNLV game here a little bit. It was really, one major bright spot in that game. Special teams were really good, and they've been pretty good all year. So
yeah, that's a clear upgrade.
Diggs,
that's a clear. But wait, that special teams thing I got to address. Because I always make a big deal of it, and it's a pet peeve of mine, bad special teams. And with Brian Polian, that's what we became used to. Brian Mason, really good hire. Clear upgrade, doing a good job, got some decent punt returns. Field position was in our favor. You got the block kicks. Here's my question, though, man. I need Foskey to show up making these game-wrecking plays against the top-end teams we play. He tends to flash when it's against everybody else. If you're that NFL dude, I need you to be doing that and blocking kicks against Clemson and Ohio State. So I'm happy to see it, but I need to see it against the better teams we play too.
Yeah, and I totally. No question. And I'm telling you, man, to have 2 block punts the way that we did, those are just, we annihilated those 2 plays. That is about as textbook as you can get. And then he also had 3 sacks. So, by God, if he's not player of the week, this is a problem. Come on, 3 sacks, 2 punts, 1 blocks, that's player of the week material. I would also say, welcome back, Logan Diggs, man. What a refreshing display of running that was on his end, because now you got 3. Again, I know Estime's having this fumble issue all of a sudden, but that's what's so nice about having 3 guys of that caliber is that if one's not playing quite as well, you can lean on the other 2.
Yeah,
it's great to see Diggs back to form. With
Diggs, I think it was clear he was not healthy and was compensating earlier in the year coming back off the injury. He did not look confident.
No question.
He was not running right. Like, you could tell something was a little off. Like he wasn't quite comfortable trusting it or pivoting or whatever, and moving. He looked weird. Good to see that change. He looks like he's rising again back to what we expect him to be. Estime's fumbling issues are hurting my feelings, man. You know how I feel about that guy, and I love how physical he runs. But, dude, if you can't hold on to the ball, I can't give you the ball. And it hurts me. You know how I feel about him. I want him to run people over, but if you can't hold the ball, I can't give it to you.
Yeah, he's got to figure that out, man. It doesn't seem like he just doesn't come across as the kind of player that would be somebody you have to worry about fumbling the ball. He's just so Maybe that's the problem. He's just so hyper-focused on getting that extra yard. Or,
yeah,
I don't know. But this is the problem that's all of a sudden happening. I think he'll fix it. I can't imagine. Because he's going to care. You know that he cares about that. You know he's going to put his effort into trying to fix it. So I have faith that that's going to get better. But that is concerning, man. I mean, I'm not trying to. Again, many things lost the Stanford game. But man, that run where he was running down the field, we're about to score. He's got the ball and he fumbles it. It's like,
yeah,
we just can't have that, man.
I know,
and especially going forward.
And you're like, you said, what makes it worse with Estime is it's always him like fighting for extra yards, and it's at like the end of a physical run, and you're all like, yeah, let's go, and then there goes the ball. It's just, and I know it affects him, and it's a big deal to him, and I know it's very frustrating. I love the way he runs, but I can't give it to you if you're going to put it on the ground. So yeah, I don't know, man. I feel bad being in a bad mood when we win by 23 and put up a score in the 40s. All I'm saying, man, is wins should feel more fulfilling than that one felt. Does that make sense, or am I crazy?
No. I honestly, man, watching the game, I actually watched it in replay. I'm not going to lie. I didn't watch it live. I don't want to be, I don't know. It was weird. I didn't see what happened. I actually watched the game not knowing what happened later. I will say maybe that was a good idea because of all the streaming issues people were having. I didn't have any problem watching it in replay. But, okay. So having said that, the first, I mean, we're up, what was it? Was it 30-7 at one point? Was it 30-7?
Yeah,
and
I believe.
I'm like, we should be up 56-7.
Yep.
Like, what the? But again, I'm like, but then again, who cares? I'm like, okay, so I started thinking about this, and I wasn't trying to outthink the situation, but seriously, I actually would rather them win that way than win by a bunch of points and have a false sense about themselves. And
yeah, I get that.
Week thinking they're better than they are.
I get that.
I kind of like the fact that they didn't quite get there because, it keeps, even there at the end of the game, when the team had won and they were going over to sing the alma mater, you could see it's like, okay, we won. This is what we're supposed to do. We're not going to get all happy and, this is what we're supposed to do. So I don't know. To some degree, I think it's best when we win like this, especially going into a tough game the next 2 weeks. Because let's be honest, man, if we pull out Syracuse and Clemson, no one's going to care how it looked as long as we pull it out.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Syracuse is one thing. I don't want to get into Clemson yet, but it's like, good luck. Like the way our offense is against them, like you're going to have to be on point that night in Notre Dame Stadium. So let me, what do you make of Drew Pine? Like, how much better can he get? What's that level? Where are we at?
Great. You said it perfect earlier, man. When he is on, the offense looks good. The offense, and even the ones where he's overthrowing guys, that was a pretty ball he threw. I mean, it was way over Tyree's head by a million miles. But I mean, my God, the ball had zip on it. It looked great in the air. It's not like the guy can't throw a nice ball or throw it hard even. I think he's overcompensating because of the shortness. And again, he's 5'11", but he feels shorter, doesn't he? Somehow he feels like he's like 5'8". I don't know what it is.
Well, maybe it's because if we see him in the screen with Joe Alt, he seems like he's a midget in the Wizard of Oz compared to Joe Alt. Like maybe that's what it is.
That's the problem with some of these overthrows is that he's launching it too high to overcompensate. In fact, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it would seem like that might be one of the reasons, but. Oh my! I mean, how many times can you miss wide open guys down the field? I mean, he's pretty good from the 10 to 20 yard pass.
Yeah.
But beyond that, man, it's like he throws a nice ball. That's what's so frustrating about it. It's not like this wild, erratic ball he throws. He throws a really nice spiral, but it's almost always overthrown.
Right. Or it's like a little dump off and it's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's like, dude, like tone it down a little bit.
True.
He's shooting bullets.
By the way, though, John, before we go further, I've got to say, though, having said that, dude, what the hell is wrong with Lorenzo Styles? That guy looks like he what is he going through, man?
I don't know, man. He's going through the dropsies.
I understand,
the dropsies is what he's going through.
Body language looks awful. Awful.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is, but I can't have in a group that's struggling, even if you are really good, I got to have you be really good. Like, you just can't catch a break when it comes to that aspect. I don't know, man. The drops are the drops. Why? I don't know what to tell you. What's the way out? It's like the yips in golf. You keep missing 2-footers. Does it get in your head? I don't know, man. Like,
it's in his head. There's no doubt. This guy was so much better last year, and I'm not believing that he's just now not a good player. It's just not good. No, I don't believe that. It's that sophomore slump, man. There's something going on mentally. Maybe he feels, I don't know, man. I don't know. But once you missed a couple of easy passes or whatever, maybe it just gets in your head too much.
Hey,
and you got to get a couple. I would try getting him involved next week early. Like, throw him a couple of easy passes, just get his confidence back.
I like that. I like that.
Him the next 2 games.
Yeah, I like that. Get his confidence back. Hey, is Deion Colsey alive? It's almost like he's out. No, like, I'm not being mean. It's almost out of sight, out of mind. Like, people were mentioning Merriweather going into the year. It was like Merriweather and Colsey. Did he die? Where is the guy? Where is he? Is he hurt and I missed it? Or is he just not good enough to even be close to see the field the way we want Merriweather to? What happened to that project?
I heard, I don't know, and I'm not trying to throw anybody on the bus because I don't know. I remember several weeks ago hearing, I don't even remember who it was, talking about, people, I guess, have seen practice. I'm talking about some of the podcasts I watch, other than your show, that mentioned his body, that he, maybe there's that effort issue there or something. I don't know if that's true. But, like, he was one of the guys I expected to pop this year, especially with the talent that him and Styles came in with and how thin our core is. I'm like, again, like, where are these people? Is he hurt? Maybe
but, it's not even a matter of, like, stepping up. It's a matter of I need you. Like, it's not like I expect you to be great. It's more like I need you, and I need bodies out there, and I need development, and I need it from as many guys as possible out of that group. I'm just wondering where he is. That's all. Just wondering where he is.
Well, especially now that you got your backup tight end hurt. I mean, it's really kind of neat to see them be creative with Mitchell on the.
I love that. I really like that. Good little wrinkle. Cool. Good little creativity wrinkle. Like, I'm all for more of that. Give me more of that. I like that.
It was kind of cool too because they used the thing that was frustrating everybody against UNLV. Everybody's getting so frustrated with the looking to the side. What they call that, the scan offense.
Yeah.
And so they actually used it to their advantage.
Yeah,
and
that one.
Pretty nifty. They're not going to be able to do that though and surprise Clemson or and I don't think that I like the idea of that play, but I'm just saying you're not going to be able to just surprise people with it.
Right.
It's one of those things where you got the numbers in your favor when he comes in there, kind of like a wildcat formation, but you're using a big body with the tight end. So I do like the play call. It won't shock people from here on out.
Yeah, but I like just seeing any sort of creativity or something that I don't see every week out of them. I like seeing. So I don't know, man. We're in it's weird how these seasons take on mini seasons within them, like these little short-term windows. Here we are again. Notre Dame has a chance to regain some faith if you do a good job the next couple weeks. I just don't know how realistic or not that is, but we're going to be here for it either way, my friend. I appreciate the call. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. I want to say one last thing, and that is, well, we have 2 weeks to see where we're at again, but from an optimism standpoint, not that we're going to beat both these teams, but I do think we will play much better because that's what the evidence has shown so far, that when we play teams that are of worthy caliber, that we consider that we play better. So at least the brand of football should be better on the field.
Yeah,
right, John,
that makes sense.
We'll talk to you later, my friend.
Have a good one. Good thoughts, my friend. Thanks as always. Have a good week.
You too.
Oh, sorry to cut you off. All right, we're going to go 219-757-845-937. Those are the next up. I got a couple chats I wanted to get to. John Galt, Kelly would have one loss right now at ND. I have been down this path multiple times, but I'll say it again. Yeah, I've actually gone through this exact scenario. I agree with you. 100%. I agree with you. If Kelly was here, Notre Dame has one loss and they are in the top 10. I believe that. I genuinely believe that. But I also believe it wouldn't matter because we would get into the big bowl game or the playoff and then lose like we always do with Kelly, and it'd be ugly and we wouldn't be able to compete. So that leaves me in a very weird spot. Yes, Kelly would only have one loss right now, whatever. But also, there is no light at the end of the tunnel for Notre Dame under Brian Kelly. There was no more. We knew it. Brian Kelly knew it. He did all he was going to do it at Notre Dame, refused to change the way he had to recruit to change the outcomes. Kelly did not want to do that work, that effort. Did as much as he could at Notre Dame, a lot of good things. He realized he was at the level where that was it, and then he went somewhere else. That's all. So I agree that Kelly would only have one loss, but that doesn't mean I wish he was back. People got to get that. You got to be able to understand there's more options than those. Yes, Kelly would probably only have one loss. No, that doesn't mean I wish he was back because there is no light at the end of the tunnel ever under Kelly at Notre Dame. Haven't you people seen enough postseason games under Kelly to know the result you were going to get, whether you go 11-1, 12-0, 10-2 in the regular season? You know what you're going to get in that biggest moment, and it was never good enough. Ever. So it leaves you in a weird spot, folks. Yes, Kelly would only have one loss. Big deal, because I know we're not winning a big bowl game at the end of the year anyways. All right? So whatever. What do you want? One loss all through the year? Think you're good? Killed in the playoff? Come on. Kelly knew it was just time. And he did a lot of good things at Notre Dame, but it was just time. He had gone as far as he was going to go at Notre Dame because he went as far as he was willing to go at Notre Dame. I'm going to repeat that. BK got Notre Dame as far as they were going to go under him because he took Notre Dame as far as he was willing to work it. The only way getting different end of the season results out of a Notre Dame Brian Kelly program was if he totally changed the way he recruited himself, not even worrying about all the other staff, himself. That didn't happen, and that's fine. And Kelly didn't want to make it happen. It was not something he was interested in doing, what it would take to recruit to get Notre Dame where it needs to be. So that's where we're at. Very, very tough dynamic. Very, very frustrating. Yes, I fully believe Kelly would only have one loss and we'd be ranked in the top 10 right now. I also believe there's no light at the end of that tunnel. So where does it get you? It's super frustrating, you guys. It's super frustrating. Like, it just is. It just is. Oh, man. John Galt, my buddy wants to donate money but doesn't want to pay the fee. Can we mail you cash? Put that baby in the mail. P.O. Box, always Irish, and in the note, right? For Rogaine. Send it. So that's my opinion, all right? 219-757-845-937. I'm coming to you, I promise. I feel bad making people be on a hold, but I also have an obligation to address the chats and what's going on there. I know you people are working and busy. I feel bad with you on a hold, but damn, I know you understand. But dude, I can't get... If you're not a Notre Dame person, it's hard to get you to understand it, Kent. Kent, how many decades? Here we go, Kent. How many decades do you want me to be falsely inflated with Brian Kelly to think that there's a chance the postseason's going to be different this year. How many decades of Brian Kelly do I have to wait? And a 10-2 season, an 11-1 season, 12-0, then another 12-0. 2012, the championship game, BCS game, all of that regular season stuff. When it came to the postseason, a playoff or New Year's Six or BCS game or whatever, we couldn't compete under Kelly. We didn't in one game. There was not one of those big postseason games that were even competitive. Not one. Not one. Not one. So all the 12-0 in the regular season and 10-2 and 11-1, and we would only have one loss right now, but it never pays off. There's never a payoff. It never builds to something bigger, ever. It is nothing but repeated false hope, and then you're embarrassed at the end. That's what it was under Kelly, and he knew it too. He knew it too. And I'm glad that he at least knew this isn't working right now. I'm going to go somewhere else. That's how I see it. I'm sorry. All right? So, yeah, he would only have one loss. That doesn't mean I wish the guy was back. All undefeated seasons don't mean anything under Kelly because we lose by 90 in the playoff. So where does it get me? Nowhere. Man, this is a lot for a Monday. 219, you're on the line. Bring down my blood pressure, please.
John, what's up, buddy? I don't think I'm going to bring it down.
Come on, man. I just went on a rant. I need to bring it down.
Okay. Let's talk about the offense.
Okay.
The offensive coaching. Let's bring it. First of all, let's talk about the game. And then let's move on to the recruiting.
Okay.
What's happened there for years. Now, the game was extremely frustrating because, like you said already, how 2 punt blocks. We got the ball at midfield how many times?
Yep.
You should have had 50 points in the first half.
Yep.
No shot plays at all. I mean, getting the ball at midfield, that's perfect time for some play action, some deep balls. And the minute you want to sit there and blame, Tommy and the offense, then someone drops the pass. Pine misses, throws it over the guy's head. And so it's almost like it's everybody. It's the players, it's the coaches, it's everybody.
Yeah,
So,
it's rough, man. You have like 20 different things all in the mix right now, and they're all hard to deal with, hard to gauge, hard to monitor, and hard to fix.
and if it's everybody, then the coordinator of the offense has to get, he has to be looked at. And a question for you is, do you think Freeman, he's really kind of happy and we're just missing some plays? Or do you think maybe he really is questioning the keeping Reese around?
Listen, man, I'm glad you brought this up. That has been one of the number one things on my mind for a while now. Is Freeman mad about all this too, but he feels an obligation to protect his guys publicly in a press conference or whatever, but personally behind the scenes he's pissed? I don't know that. That's why I'm saying at the end of the year you're going to get that answer. Whether he sees things the way we do, but feels like there's no easy solution now in the season and he's trapped, or does he really think Tommy's awesome and it's just bad execution? I don't know.
Yeah, everybody that listens, calls in, or watches your show knows exactly what the problem is. If we were just average on that side of the ball, we'd be 6-1.
Yeah, you wouldn't even need to be exceptionally great. You just need to be somewhere in that average, right in the middle.
Yeah. And then on the opposite side with the recruiting and what, like, this is not your normal situation where you have a new coach. Tommy Reese has been recruiting these guys since 17. He was the quarterback coach, right? 2017. So he's been putting this roster together and recruiting this roster for years. So at what point do you look at this guy? These are the players you picked, Tommy.
Yep. That's my point. That's my point. When people say, oh, John, you can't blame Tommy because the quarterback's hurt and you're dealing with the backup and the wide receiver itch. Dude, he has been a part of what has caused these problems. He wanted Pine to be quarterback in Notre Dame. Now you got it. It's that simple. He's the one who found the guy and offered him and wanted him. Now we got it. And now we're playing football.
I know we've talked about this before, me and you, but there was a guy at Clemson that looked pretty good on Saturday. We didn't want to.
Yep. Yeah, there was. It's all a mess, man. And it's just like, listen, all I'm going off of is results. Like, I'm not trying to be unfair. I want Tommy to succeed. He's a Notre Dame guy. It would be great if it went well. All those storylines, it makes us feel good. I'm just into results, man. And the offense, even when it's been good the last few years, is not good. Good offense for us isn't even good nationally. It's just good for us. And I need us to get out of that, or the Freeman era has no chance to be a success. So whether it's with or without Tommy, forgive me that I'm trying to figure out how to get there.
Yeah, we can all see the problem, and something has to change. And
say, hey, Adam, somebody put in the chat, never trust a quarterback that punched the policeman and ran. I love that. That's a good one. MJ Irish 84. Never trust a quarterback that punched the policeman. Isn't that a good one? Oh, God, that's funny.
The offense almost looks like we all knew that the receivers would be an issue going into the season. And it's almost like he's playing the offense like, oh, we still got Will Fuller, Claypool, and Boykin out there. We'll just run our normal offense. Like,
yep.
I thought you would see more like two back with Diggs and Tyree.
Yeah, me too.
Motion into like slot, and they can run jet sweeps or like kind of cross them and fake one way and put a guy out in the flat for easy passes. And there's never we never get guys in space.
Yep.
We just don't look like most college offense.
Yeah, and dude, that's one of the things that jumps out at me when I watch these other games across the country. They scheme their offense to seem to get a lot of their guys in space, in rhythm, with the ball, in stride, room to make plays after that, like runs after it. Like every play has the opportunity to turn into something way bigger, and it just doesn't feel like we have that.
Yeah, we don't. When's the last time we had like multiple explosive touchdowns? Like really, 50 yards plus.
I know.
Or even just like breaking in routes where a guy hits them in stride and he runs 30 yards down to the 10 yards. We never have explosive plays. It's like he almost just wants to pound it down the field slowly.
Yeah, man. It's just so frustrating. Oh, you were at the game, right? Yeah, you guys were there.
Yeah.
What was the vibe? I'm just wondering, I was there the week before, but then we lost. I'm just wondering what the vibe was like. It was a nice day, but what was that crowd like in the building?
It was not. The crowd was, I would say, good for an afternoon game. A lot of empty seats.
I could see that on TV. Yep, especially it always bugs me when the open seats. It always bugs me when the open seats are the fanciest ones in the first 5 rows with the cushions, and the people with all the money for them don't even show up. It always bugs me, and it's the front 5 rows too on each sideline. I hate it.
Yeah, there's a lot of empty seats, which we sit like right next to the cushion seats.
Yeah,
we're in section 25, and we're in the second row. In section 25, right next to them. So there's a lot of empty seats, but my wife turned to me and she goes, "You know something? You need to tweet John that there's half as many people, twice as loud."
Interesting.
So the people that were there were cheering.
Okay, so
it was
that
actually louder, I thought, in the first half than it was the whole Stanford game.
wow,
Now, when it got to the
that's
third
interesting.
When it got to the third quarter, when we did nothing, it went back to quiet again. So what I would tell people that complain about our crowd is, why don't we do something? When we score touchdowns and get sacks and block punts, the crowd is loud.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good to see there was still some energy there. And then I guess the energy for Clemson is going to have a lot to do with what happens at this stupid dome in New York.
Yeah, you may call me crazy, John, but I got this feeling like they're going to come and they're going to play a solid game, and we're going to win that game by a score of 10 points.
Hey,
I don't know why I have that confidence, but it seems like this year,
these are the teams we play better against. Yeah, you're not crazy for that. Yeah. No, it's weird, man. Think about it. The middle upper tier of our schedule is who we've played good against, and it's always been on the road, North Carolina, and then in Vegas. So maybe this is their comfort zone, going to play on the road and getting away from you and me. I don't know.
Yeah. And then my last kind of question for you before I get off here, what do you think's going to happen? I mean, end of the year, USC, like you said earlier, do you really think Freeman's going to go and just show up in the spring with the same staff? You got any insight, you think?
Shit.
Do you think we would make the change? Because I don't think Tommy's the kind of guy that would take help very good.
Yep.
Something tells me he kind of thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yep.
He don't want help from anybody.
Yep. So a couple things there. Number one is, where was it? Irish Illustrated, one of them guys, Priester, one of the inside guys said that Freeman has full autonomy. He wanted Tommy and wanted him to be around. It wasn't forced on him. That gets asked every week. Did Swarbrick force Tommy? And the people that are in the know allegedly said, no, it wasn't forced. But I got to know, does he take a true look at this after the season, see what we see, and just says, I don't know whether this is all Tommy's fault or not, but it's not good enough, and I need to get new eyes on this and encourage Tommy to go to the NFL. Go frame it as Tommy has NFL aspirations. He's going to go be an NFL quarterback guy. We get new eyes on the offense. It's an amicable breakup, almost framed as a promotion for Tommy to go to the NFL. And then Freeman gets new eyes on the offense. How realistic is that? I could see that happening.
Yeah, because I think Tommy's more of a pro-style coach than college anyways. College is a different game than the NFL. And something tells me I think he might even do better in the NFL.
Yeah. And you know what else? He is not very open to help, like you said. When they approached him about bringing in an older analyst like Cutcliffe, he had a negative response and said, I don't need that. If I'm the OC, you're going to trust me to do this. I don't need that. So he doesn't like kind of having somebody looking after him. At the same time, when you don't recruit and develop quarterbacks appropriately, and that's your job, maybe you need help.
Yeah, he obviously needs help. Obviously.
So
that's another thing, the development. That's what I'm worried about too. I mean, it almost seemed like Ian Book got worse under him.
He did.
As the years went on.
Ian Book's numbers got worse the second year he was the full-time starter. So did Kaiser. Like, these guys got worse, not better. I mean, I know that was before. I'm just saying Notre Dame's quarterbacks, even the good ones we've had the last handful of years, put up worse numbers the second year that they're the starter. You want to know how messed up Notre Dame's quarterback dynamic is? Go ahead and look it up. Look it up. You think I'm kidding? Every one of those guys under Kelly and Reese that started, the more games they played, the worse the numbers were. It isn't supposed to go that way.
Yeah, it's John, I mean, it's nothing personal. I mean, it's just results. I mean, just the result. I mean, I just hope Freeman isn't too loyal. You could tell he's a loyal man, and I just hope he's not too loyal.
You could be loyal. You could be loyal to the point where you put the last nail in your own coffin, and you can't afford to be that loyal in this business. So Freeman needs to. And the other thing is, people are wondering, like I am, what is Freeman thinking all this? Like, does he see the realities we see or not or whatever? That's why I'm saying it's going to be a big deal this offseason, what happens. Because you're going to know right away whether he was thinking and seeing what we were, or if he goes, what do you mean? Tommy's my guy. We'll see you in March for the spring practices. Like, then you'll know where you're at then with where Freeman's thinking of all this.
Yeah, you're probably going to be 6-6, and I don't know how you go in the offseason with no changes.
That's kind of where I'm headed with that. Because at that point, what is the argument for Reese? Like, that's what I don't get. There's all these arguments against. What is the reason? What is the biggest reason for Tommy? Because we don't have a good offense and the quarterbacks don't develop. So what exactly is the on-field evidence that I should be like, yeah, let's do this again? What is it? I'm open to it, but tell me what it is.
Exactly. I mean, we've been kind of on this for weeks now, so we were giving him the benefit of the doubt to turn it around and some of his players, but it's got to the point now. This is all his. It's all his. He picked the players, he called the plays, and the results are absolute garbage.
Yeah, it's rough. So you're going to see in this offseason where Freeman's mind is with all this stuff, and I find that is the most intriguing part of all this right now, where the program is. What happens with that dynamic? That is the number one question everybody's going to have. It's the number one question I have.
Yep, definitely. All right, John, thanks for having me on. I got to get back to work here. So.
All right. Hey, thanks for calling me during work. That's dedication. I appreciate you. I'll see you at the Clemson game. We'll make sure to meet up this time.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I'll see you. Have a good Monday. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, we got, let's see, 757-845-937-484. 10-second break. Entertain yourselves for 10. Oh, boy. We're back. Dan Mueller, $5 holler. You think this week and next week NB plays Tobias full-time? I don't see how we score without it. No, probably not. Because if you haven't done it yet, you're going to think about it. Probably not. Because if you're not going to see him in the mix and being a big deal, getting a ton of catches and balls thrown to him against Stanford and UNLV, why would I think they're going to do it in the bigger games? Like, that's an issue. And I see people worried about recruiting. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you, but you need to hold it together. I don't even want to think about that mess right now, what that could look like in a few weeks. 757, let's have a discussion. What's going on?
Hey, John, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Guys, I've been meaning to call in for quite a while now. I finally did it. I got through. I don't have a heck of a lot to talk about. I just have a couple questions, and I will start it off like this. For 12 years, I had to deal with the Irish taking the football at the very beginning of each game, and all of a sudden, it's still happening. Like, I can't handle that anymore. I just don't want us to have the ball to begin with. Are we like losing every coin toss? What is the deal with that? Because I just want the ball in the second half. That's all I want, and I'll be a happy man.
Man, I always prefer to defer. I just think it is an easier way to ease into a game with your defense out there. There's just a little less pressure, I feel like, than the precision it takes to be good on offense to start a big game maybe. And I like the idea of you get off the field, get the ball back, go down and score, and then you get a free possession out of that to build on it, or God forbid, try and catch up. Like, I just like that path. Kelly wanted to always get the ball and then go 3 and out. Like, I don't know. I'm always for that defense first. But let me throw this at you. Keep in mind, for all the time that we're talking about this, we've had bad offense. Maybe I would look at it different if we scored 50 a game. If we had USC's offense, maybe I would want the ball. But all through Kelly and now, the offense has been a struggle. So why do I want our group that struggles to go out there first?
Well, yeah, that and I mean, I guess another reason is it always seems like that we always take the ball, and then it always seems like the team we're playing against gets the ball with 1 minute left in the half, and they always end up doing something against us, and then they get the ball back. Or it works out in a way that we're hanging on the edge of our seat at the end of the half, hoping that we get out of it without them scoring. And I just want that ball in the second half. I could care less if we score right off the bat. I mean, congratulations, but let's just get the ball in the second half and not put it in their hands, and I'll be a happy man. But I guess I just real quick. I don't want to take a lot of time because I'm at work as well. It's like the last guy, so I just want to throw a couple things out real quick. A few other people have said it. I kind of agree with the whole 2 running back system. I don't know why we're not running with 2 running backs, or at least running multiple plays like that. I just don't see it. It only makes sense to me. Why not put your best players out there on the field and have 2 of them out there at once to see what they can't do,
Yeah.
That would really make me happy. And other things, things that I've watched. Obviously, at the very beginning of the year, our O line was kind of was not. We were very disappointed. We're looking at East End like, no, you were supposed to be the one good thing that was going to help us. And I feel like they've come a long way. I feel like they're doing much better. But the O line can only do so much when teams are stacking the box, obviously, and they're making Pine throw the ball. I mean, you can only run so well when there's that many people in the box. Your line can only do so well for you, And I don't want to blame them for too much. They didn't look good at the very beginning, but I feel like they've gotten a lot better.
Yeah, they definitely did improve. I'm glad I'm not having those yelling matches. Don't do it to me, Harry. Like we had the first couple weeks. We're past that. I agree with you with the 2 running back thing. I thought there would be more of that just because of what a challenge that presents the defense. You don't know whether those guys, who's going to get it on a handoff or not, who's going out to block or not, who's going to receive a pass, who's going out to do a little block, then go receive a pass. And then you multiply it by 2 because there's 2 of them. There's a lot you could do there. And I would like to see him do it a little more.
I got you. I'll tell you what, I'll end on this, that way you can jump to someone else real quick. I just want to say, I love Isaiah Foskey, and I'm glad he came back, but man, he really has not impressed, and that's very unfortunate.
Why?
I really thought he was just going to be.
Why do you think that is? Why? Because he's flashing, but it isn't nearly enough. And if you're that NFL guy, everybody was building you up all off season. I need more production, and I need more disruption, and I need it to be against the good teams we play. What's the deal?
I don't know, man. I mean, we really were relying on him this year to be that one main, that one constant on the line that was just always going to be always going to be causing disruption, but it just hasn't happened. I don't have an answer for it. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not like we're playing against teams that have the best offensive lines in the world or anything like that. I mean, some have great ones, like Ohio State. I guess I give them that, but I mean, he should be doing a little bit more than what he's doing, and that's unfortunate. So.
Yeah, it is. As I let you go here, what is your optimism level the next 2 weeks? Syracuse and Clemson. You looking at a split? Are you looking at a split? You llooking at 0 for 2, 2-0? Where's your gut on this?
I'll tell you this. I mean, I love Notre Dame football inside and out, and I'm nervous. Besides maybe Navy, which obviously you can't sleep on them. Don't sleep on them at all, but. I don't know, John. I don't know.
Yeah, you sound nervous. You sound nervous. It's going to be a rough next half a month.
College always plays as well.
Yeah.
College always plays as well. I mean, I could see us getting 2 more wins, but I could very easily also see, and then seeing us lose the other 3 games. We have 5 more games left, something like that.
Hey, we talked
I
about
could definitely see us losing the.
we talked about all of this stress with the schedule, and we didn't even get to the last game yet and what that's going to be. Like, there's just a lot on the line the next month and a half, even though we're out of the national picture. There's still just a lot on the line.
I'm glad you said something because I'll end on this. I'll give one thing to Brian Kelly. I've been a fan. Me and you are about the same age, and from listening to the show, and we're about the same age. And one of the reasons why I love listening to the show is because you are me about 10 years ago, and how I used to I couldn't handle it. I would lose it, and I mean, I think you're very controlled with it. I don't look at you as like a crazy man by any means, but I was you, and I've learned to just kind of let it go now and calm down a lot. But one thing Brian Kelly did was bring us a winning victory over USC, and I hate USC more than anything in the world. And so the fact that watching them get good again, it kills me inside, knowing that, oh my God,
yeah,
I
and
have to deal with this again.
2
for
things.
10 years of losing straight to them.
2 things are, one is Kelly did do a good job with them the last handful of years. He also is lucky he caught USC in a down cycle.
True.
Like, if he caught Charlie Weiss's USC angle, then we're not having this discussion of him being able to handle USC. So I do credit Kelly. It's a rivalry. It doesn't matter. You got to win them. Good job by him. But I am going to note they were in the dumpster for pretty much most of his tenure.
You are right.
And the other thing is, listen, man, I don't want to get us too far past the games we have ahead of us, but it's a very bad look to have the coaching changes at USC and Notre Dame. We've dominated the rivalry the last 5-6 years. You can't let that flip instantly year one. These new coaches are there. That's a bad look. You can't let that all flip year one on you. I'm not ready to yell about it today, but you cannot let that flip on you year one. You can't do it. Took a lot of work to get to where it was more in our favor. You can't let the Lincoln Law get you year one. No.
Well, yes. We play them at home or away this year? I can't remember.
It's away. You're going to be having your Thanksgiving turkey out in Hollywood.
Well, that's just great. I don't know. Maybe they'll that game they'll be ready to go and they'll play up the competition.
We got a lot to worry about before we get there. Well, thanks for the call, my friend. I appreciate it. Give me a call again. I appreciate your insight. Give me a call again.
All right.
Have a good week. Take care.
Yep. Bye.
Oh, man. Oh, geez. John Galt lives again. John, if Freeman loses his recruiting class, what is left? I would rather have Kelly. 845-937, 2 last callers of the day. You're coming up. We're going to finish with you. Here's the deal, John. That is a very fair point and one that I've brought up. That would be a very, very big issue because here's the deal. You knew you were going to have like a calibration learning curve, new staff blending, quarterback issues. All of that, everybody knew was going to be issues Freeman had to address and deal with this year. We all knew that. I figured, though, that any of the struggles would be limited to losing to the biggest teams we play. You know, Ohio State, Clemson, USC, whatever. Not these lower level ones, Marshall, Stanford, whatever. I've been saying the whole time, while I know there's going to be some struggles with Marcus getting calibrated, I got to have that recruiting stay at that top 5 or better level during it for me to be able to get out of this, the deal that was made. The deal that was made was you're giving up Brian Kelly's experience and some of what you know you're going to get out of him, 10 or more wins every year. We cover that on the good side. The deal with Freeman was, you know, you're giving up some of that reliability in Kelly. And there's risk in that, and we're living the risk right now. But on the flip side, there is a light at the end of the tunnel of maybe a higher talent ceiling that then makes it possible for you to get further than you did with Kelly eventually. But the issue is, if you're losing enough that you can't recruit elitely anymore to get that cycle going, now we're chasing our tail. That is the problem. That's my worry. If you can't hold it together enough this year to be able to recruit at that top 5 or better area, that's where we're chasing ourselves in a circle. So that's the danger right now. If it's going to be a struggle on the field, I at least need the recruiting to be elite enough to show me it. That's going to get better in a year or two. So you just can't have this fall off. You can't have your top recruits drop off. Keeley, Bowen, you can't, because you're never going to get ahead doing that. Everything's frustrating. 845, you're coming alive. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, John. How are you, sir?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for giving me a call today. Sorry to make you wait. Mondays are always busy. What's on your mind today?
It should be busy. It's a Monday. Everybody's kind of reeling. You know, I called last week. Enjoyed the time. Figured I'd give a call back in. You know, I'm looking at the game. Obviously, man, Peacock just terrible. Just all around.
Am I being too harsh? It was very hard to watch, man. Like, it just wasn't working. Like, I'm not even complaining about how it looked or what. I couldn't even get it to work to even watch the game without being frustrated. That's all that's just can't be.
It's probably a little more frustrating for me. I went to a friend's house. I don't have Peacock. Don't feel like getting it, you know.
Yeah.
Doing all the went to a friend's house. And he's total like channel changer, man. So every time commercial comes on, he changes channel, trying to get to regular TV.
Yep.
Next thing you know, he's trying to get back.
Yep. Dude, I was doing that all day because I wanted to flip to the other games during our commercials, but you can't. And by the time you do, you have to log back into Peacock. And I'm a big Twitter guy. I live tweet what's going on. But with a 3.5 to 4 minute delay, everybody knew what happened before it was on TV. The whole thing was messed up. Don't like it.
Yeah, and the whole time, I'm trying to watch Clemson Syracuse. Obviously, I want to see this game. Hey, we're playing both these teams the next few weeks. You know, this is the game to see. But every time we turn them on, we've missed something at Notre Dame. So, you know, Peacock is just kind of just one of these. But I will say, last week I called in. You know, I'm a big complaint, and it's been all year. Hey, we start off terrible. We finish pretty terrible. I think you were making fun of me a little bit last week about it. You know what I mean? And we were saying, hey, we play in the middle. But, I mean, you look at what we did in the first quarter. We started off where we haven't been able to do that in the past. You look at where we were in the fourth quarter. We let them back in the game, but, hey, we needed a touchdown, and we got that touchdown. So I think there was some good when you look at it in terms of, hey, it wasn't all terrible. I think the biggest, and I please share. I think it's fairly common knowledge at this point, but I think the biggest glaring thing that came out of the UNLV game was the inefficiency we have at quarterback.
Yeah,
I mean, you just see Drew Pine kind of struggle, overthrows, all that stuff. And my goodness, if he didn't have Mayer, I mean, Mayer was targeted 12 times and caught 6. I think it was your show yesterday.
If this team didn't have Mayer, would it ever score? Would it ever get a drive? Like,
no, I don't think so. Again, you look at it and you could say, I think you said yesterday, and I had it as a mental note at one point, and I may not have it correctly, but you were saying Mayer had, I don't know, it was 46 catches.
Oh, I got it.
Many yards, with 600 change yards.
Where is it? I have. Oh, no. I got it.
Great.
I got it right in front of me. This year, this tells you where we're at. I have it right in front of me. Fort Mayer, 44 catches, 526 yards, 6 touchdowns. All of the wide receivers, 50 catches, 650 yards, 4 touchdowns. He is basically giving you more production than all the wide receivers alone.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm watching UNLV and I'm like, how bad are these coaches for UNLV that they just don't kind of adopt the Stanford or the Marshall model, put 8 in the box, make Pine throw, double team Mayer. I'm assuming that's what we'll see a lot of next week. I'm assuming we'll see a lot of that the week after that. And then I'm looking at, I think the biggest one for me is looking at that, because there was certainly good, but you could see Pine is just not that. He's obviously not a long-term option.
Yeah.
He's barely a Band-Aid right now.
Yep.
I wish that wasn't the case. But then you look at Lorenzo Styles kind of dropping everything, and I was wondering, like, why not just take Merriweather, put Merriweather in, take Styles out? I mean, Styles is getting him in the numbers. He's getting him in the hands. Guy drops everything. It's so frustrating.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help when you already have issues there. You know, it just doesn't. And I've said it before. I do not blame Drew Pine. Drew Pine is playing quarterback the way someone with Drew Pine's gifts plays quarterback. And that is the best way I could put it to people to understand there's a bigger picture issue in play here. And I think it starts with proper recruiting, development, and retention of a good quarterback room.
I think that's the probably the main thing that we've struggled with over an extended period of time. You know, I know you got other callers. I know you're trying to finish up. So I'll try to be somewhat brief. I will say this, you know, in terms of what we're seeing, you know, man, Estime, like you said, breaking my heart.
It hurts me, man. It hurts me inside so much. I want him to get the ball and run people over. Every time he fumbles, I just want to cry. Like, I want him to be so good, but he drops it. I can't handle it.
I was saying, you know, last year he was coming in a little bit, and I was like, this guy's like, you know, just a future. He's going to be the new bust.
It looked different. It just looks different. Yeah.
Yeah. If he keeps dropping, though, I understand. You just can't play him. But the last thing I'll say on this is, do you see it too? Is it just me because I'm hypersensitive to Notre Dame and everything, obviously, that comes with Notre Dame? But Jesus, I swear the officiating during the Notre Dame games is just absolutely horrendous.
I think the officiating all over is horrendous, especially in Notre Dame. It has been some weird stuff, just weird stuff. And you know what else? Overall, big picture, NFL and college, the way holding is called or not called now, I do not understand it. There is holding going on all the time. Sometimes it's blatant, totally ignored. Other times they call it. Officiating's been bad. But I have so many problems internally with Notre Dame. I can't even worry about blaming the outside.
Well, and I'm not 100% that Pine wasn't hurt. You know, I mean, you look at you got Bertrand that was they were looking at it for targeting, but man, I mean, Pine took a helmet to the head, and it wasn't even looked at, wasn't reviewed. Freeman calls a timeout. They didn't look at it. I was like, what is going on here?
Yep. I didn't understand that either. Oh man. And that was an awkward shot Pine took. His body like fell weird. It was an awkward shot right away when it happened. I went, ooh, how's that going to play? And that's the other danger in you're one step away from Angeli running all this. And I got to see the guy throw a pass. Like you're none of this is good. None of this is in a good spot, man. None of it's in a good spot.
No, hey, listen, I know you got stuff going on. I just wanted to call in and say, called in last week, talked about start, talked about finish. I think they did both those things much better than they've done in the past, even though it's still UNLV, who I think is absolutely horrendous. And I would almost say worse than I think probably worse than Marshall or Stanford when you just kind of really look at it. But overall, I think there's some positives. I don't think the things that we're looking at are going to change our outcomes from this year. I mean, if you're looking, you see the schedule and the strength, and you go by the way we've played, we're probably 6-6, maybe 7-5.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, like on the high side, and that's not giving Navy, you know, any credit, obviously, but that's what I'm looking. But we're positive. We made some positive steps. We'll see where that goes. You know, I think at the end of the year, Reese needs to go. Obviously, we need to bring a quarterback into the portal, and then just kind of get some recruits. But John, I appreciate you, man. Your fire while I'm working is keeping me going, so I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you being a part of the show, and if it helps anybody who's at work get through the day and distract them or give them something to think about, they care about, even better. Thanks for the call, my friend. Call again.
Thanks, John.
Have a good one. Man, I like all these people that have the ability to listen at work. That's beautiful. It's a win for me. It's a win for you. Might not be a win for your boss, but that's their problem. John Galt lives again. I would like Gus. Listen, dude, you guys know my personality. You know I would want Gus because Gus gets all excited and yells. Who does that remind you of? I would love Gus. Kidding me? And it's genuine, too. When Fowler does it, it comes off fake. Like Gus, no, man. He just hits that note, and it is what it is. You love it. I love it. 937, you're on the air.
Hey, how you doing, John?
I'm doing very well. Sorry to make you wait today on a Monday. What's on your mind, my friend? Thanks for the call.
Well, a couple of observations, and maybe it's more of the same of piling on Tommy Rees, and one criticism of maybe the program in general, perhaps. But explain to me, maybe you don't have it, or maybe somebody you've talked to has it. Explain to me the defense of Tommy Rees on why anybody would keep him at this point. Look, the guy does not recruit anybody. He does not develop anybody. His offense is terrible. I mean, it is terrible. Look, we gave him a pass because, young players don't play because Brian Kelly doesn't allow it. The wide receivers are terrible because Del Alexander was a terrible coach. We don't recruit quarterbacks, but yet we've had, Phil Jerkovic was a 5-star player. They ruined Brandon Wimbush, even though he might not have been that great of a quarterback.
Yep.
But he was a dual threat. But, I mean, give me a defense on why this – what more evidence does Notre Dame need that this guy is not the guy? He's getting paid $2 million a year to put that product on the field. $2 million.
All right. So what a perfect phone call to end on. It's funny you bring this up because I'm posting a show I already recorded last night tomorrow, and it's called Is Rees the Piece? And it is about this exact dynamic. So that episode will come out tomorrow, and it is on this exact topic. Here's what I've been told when I ask this to people above me. By above me, I mean more connected to the program than me. When I ask, what I am told is a lot of the higher level football thinking people think that the structure of his offense, like the play calling and like what it actually looks like, is really good. A lot of people in Notre Dame media and people that do X's and O's think the actual game planning of like play calls is not bad, but everybody agrees the execution of it is bad and that kind of thing. And then people also say the talent's a part of the issue. Like, how can you judge Tommy when he's dealing with, the backup quarterback? That is what I hear. But my response to it is,
he's the one
exactly. You're exactly right. So whenever I hear somebody go, John, he doesn't have a good quarterback to work with, it's his fault. It's his fault.
He ran the best one we had out of town.
Exactly. So any and all roads down this path end at his feet, do they not? How do they not? Every single road ends and points to him.
We're on the same wavelength. One other thing, and I'll get off the phone. The one criticism I have of Marcus Freeman, not his sideline demeanor or whatever. This is a program in general. How come the most excited we've ever seen this team, and this dates back to Brian Kelly, business trip, BS, blah, blah, blah. It seems to be the same thing. The most excited this team has ever been is the video when he was hired. That's it.
Yep.
They come out flat. They come out like they're going through the motions again. Is it something about the Notre Dame environment? Whatever. You got a 35-year-old jacked up coach on the sideline, and they all look like duds out there. They look like duds on the sideline. They trot out of the tunnel. There's no energy at all.
Now,
I don't understand it.
Where is the vibe of that locker room moment where they were all jumping on him? You would think they would want to protect their guy and play well so he looks good. Where's that same energy?
I don't know. It boggles my mind. You got the dude, he's ripped up. He looks great. He's got all the great swag on, and we look like shit.
And then let me ask this.
Let
me ask this. Where does the upper class leadership fall in this dynamic? When you're losing at Marshall and Stanford at home, when you're 3-score favorites to each, I start asking, where is the upperclassmen leadership of protecting your house and instilling those values and a level of performance that's acceptable? Isn't the player leadership letting them down internally as well?
It has to be some type of environmental situation. And we've been dealing with this for 12 years. They just come out flat, and then everybody blames the crowd. Well, put something on the field that we can get excited about.
Yeah.
What's sad is, the saddest part about this is we're sitting here after, we've gone to the playoffs. Yeah, we got blown out, but we had great regular seasons. We lost, a crappy game against Oklahoma State last year. But yet now, 1 year later, we're talking about whether or not we can beat Syracuse. We're talking about losses to Marshall and Stanford. That's not talent deficiency. There is a toxicity amongst this team. And I think most of us know the toxicity. You've got a player's coach in Marcus Freeman that everybody likes, that everybody wanted. And you've got an upper crusty nepotism coach in Tommy Rees that got a job that he never should have had in the first place.
Yep. It's rough. But I'm with you. Like, what's on the plus side of the Rees ledger other than he went here and people like that? Like, I'm not being sarcastic. I'm asking, on the plus side of the Tommy ledger, what is there other than he went here so people like him a little more than anybody else off the street because he's your guy? Other than that, what is on the plus side of the ledger other than that?
The only thing that I can think of, and I don't know if you heard my last comment, the only thing that I can think of is that I know his daddy is on the staff in some capacity, that they have Jack's ear, and they got a lot more pull than any of us can possibly.
But dude, if that's the path we're down, we're screwed. If that is the path, if that is actually the path, I've never been more disappointed, because that means Jack's running it all, but he's not a football guy. And then that means you're hiring Freeman, but he's a puppet and he doesn't have full autonomy. And that sets Freeman up to lose and then look bad. If that is the dynamic, it is as toxic as can be. And I'm sickened. And I pray that you're not right. Because if that is it, Freeman's screwed and so are we.
I mean, we are going to find. Look, you look at any major Division I program at the elite level. When they have something that's not working, they don't wait like Notre Dame does.
Yep,
they're gone.
Yep.
Now maybe not in the middle of the season, but it's year one. Okay, Ohio State's done it. Alabama's done it. Clemson's done it. When they have an assistant that isn't working out, they don't give the guy. And Tommy's already had 3 years, 6 years in the program, however many it's been. His time is done. There's no defense for him to be here anymore.
Yeah. Somebody put in the chat, and it's pretty sickening, but it's kind of where I'm at too. Somebody put in the chat, it's kind of obvious that he has to go, and what this season's turned into. Let's just get it over with and move on to like the improvement part. I feel that too, and it's very disappointing. There is a part of me, though, that's like, this year's screwed. Everybody's mad. I almost want to get to the end to see if there's going to be changes to hopefully have a brighter outlook. But that's sick that we got this many games left and people are already thinking of the offseason.
It's this season is beyond catastrophic. I mean, it really is.
It is because you could lose to Ohio State and Clemson, and nobody was going to lose their minds. You can't lose to Marshall, Stanford, and the good teams. You definitely can't do that.
Nope. But hey, man, I appreciate you letting me call in and vent a little bit. Great show.
Hey, man, listen, that's what I'm here for, is the group vent. Feel free to call me anytime you need to. That's what I'm here for, man. That is exactly why I'm here.
Later, man.
Beautiful. Thanks for the call. Have a good week. Call me again. All right. I'm assuming this has to do with, well, I don't know if this is to me or not, because there's John Galt and then John Me. I don't know if that's to me or somebody else. Said, because you're in the locker room, right? Like, I don't know if that was to John Galt in the chat or me questioning where the leadership is. The upperclassmen leadership. Listen, I'm sorry, but when you lose to Marshall and Stanford at home, everything's in question. And I gotta ask, where's your leadership that's even possible that you could get ran over at home that way? And then I had one more thing here I wanted to get to. Where was it? Man, we just might have to end the show right here. MJH Irish 84. John's passion is akin to the Holy Spirit from God. On that, I think we just need to end the show, folks. End the show. John's passion akin to the Holy Spirit from God. I don't know about all that, but I had a really fun morning with you guys. I love talking about all this stuff. It's lively in here, and I appreciate you. Everybody for being here, thank you. Everybody who called, thank you. Everybody in the chats and who donated, thank you. That includes you, Kent, even though you're being extra difficult this week on purpose. Have a good one, everybody. And tomorrow, no live show. 9 a.m., we're going to post the Is Reese the Broken Piece episode. Stay tuned, folks. Take it easy.